Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Amie Howard Art. Today's video is a little bit different because I really want to bring you guys along the journey with me with coming up with some original concepts and ideas for a lot of my future drawings. So I really want to change up the way which I work, and I want to put a whole lot more thought and effort into my pieces. So previously I would just find a reference picture off of Pixabay and I would draw it as it is, and I don't want to continue working in that way. I want to come up with a story for my pieces and I just want to portray them as best as I can. So one of the ways which I'm doing this is taking my sketchbook and jotting down ideas and developing ideas. So following a process, doing some research and really putting some thought behind my drawings. So one of the ways in which I've done this is I have chosen a subject. In this case, I have chosen a butterfly for one of my future drawings, and I've then gone in and researched the species that I want to draw. So for the butterfly that I want to draw, I looked at all the different species of butterflies, and there are loads to choose from. If I didn't do this process, I would just pick something in my head that I wanted to draw. When I originally thought of a butterfly, I wanted to draw a blue one. If I didn't do this process right here, then I would just end up drawing a blue butterfly, something that I'd found on Pixabay. But doing this process, I realised that I didn't want to draw a blue butterfly, I wanted to draw an orange one, most likely a peacock or a tortoiseshell butterfly. And if I hadn't been doing this process, then I wouldn't have developed the idea that I wanted to do that. And I don't know whether it's because I was looking on Google Images and saw an image of an orange butterfly on purple flowers and that really captured my eye, or what it was, but I really didn't want to draw a blue butterfly anymore. That is a terrible idea, or it was for me with this concept, and I moved towards these orange butterflies sitting on really vibrant flowers. So when I have researched my subject, I then go through and make an initial concept sketch. So I found an image of a tortoiseshell butterfly which I liked, which was sitting on these really vibrant flowers, and I just went through and sketched this, and I also added some colour down so I could get an idea put down on paper of the kind of colour scheme which I was initially thinking of. And I really liked the orange and the purple colour scheme of this little concept which I was drawing, because orange and purple really play well together. They always work well within wildlife portraits. So this one really spoke to me, so I really wanted to sketch it down into my sketchbook for future. Another thing which I do when I am thinking of a subject is put some research into the kind of environment that it's in. So previously I hadn't done this. As I said, I just picked a subject and drew it as it is, but recently I've been putting a lot more thought and effort into the research on the environment of this species. So in my example here, I really wanted to research the types of flowers that butterflies liked visiting. I also wanted to research the most common colours that butterflies could see, and I just looked on Google, had a little bit of a search, and I found the most common colours that butterflies liked. They were white, pink, purple, red, yellow and orange. So when I'm thinking about the flowers or the environment that I want the butterfly to be in, I'm going to try and pick flowers that are of those colours, because that is what my research told me that butterflies like most. So the story that I want to tell, I want to kind of get the nature and everything of the butterfly correct, so I want to include those coloured flowers. So as I was researching the coloured flowers and the types of flowers that butterflies like, I realised that the one that I'd drawn in my very first sketch was a butterfly, which is one which butterflies are massively attracted to. It's purple, so it fits with the colours that they like, so I thought that that was a really great idea to go with. So I kind of keep this theme going across my concepts. Telling a story and getting everything right within a drawing has become more important to me, because I really want to make my drawings as natural as possible. So I don't want to draw a flower that the butterfly is sitting on that isn't one that they are necessarily attracted to. So I don't want to draw a butterfly sitting on a blue thistle, because they're not going to naturally be attracted to those. And if I was to translate that to my paper in my drawing, then it wouldn't really represent the butterfly very well, and it wouldn't be very naturalistic. So this is why I'm developing these ideas and putting these processes in place so that I can get the most natural drawing that I can, so it is portraying the full character and everything of whatever I am drawing. So with a little bit of research into the environment and the species of the subject, if any, I then go through and make a few more sketches. So in this case, I had a couple of ideas of butterflies in mind, and I wanted to make sure that I was going to pick the correct one. So I decided to sketch out the second kind of peacock butterfly and just see how well that played, and also do exactly the same as I did for the first concept sketch and just map down a colour scheme and see how well the colours play with each other and if I actually like that. So when I was sketching the peacock butterfly for this, I found that there were too many colours and it became a little bit too busy and a little bit confusing, and I wanted to just keep it really simple, really elegant and really effortless, and those are the three keywords which I have in mind when I think of butterflies. And this is another thing which I add down when I'm doing this process, is write down those keywords to keep in mind so that I can portray that to my final piece. So you can see I've only done a couple pages of the butterflies, but to expand upon this I will go through and make some initial composition sketches. I will sketch some butterflies on different flowers to see which one sits well. I may go with a tubular flower, I may go with a daisy. It depends on the sketches and the compositions which I can come up with as to what I will choose. But through doing this process, it's going to really help me refine my ideas to get the best possible result. So I also did this with another piece which I'm planning of a bumblebee, which again will be another tutorial, and I started with exactly the same process. I initially thought of an idea that I wanted to do. I wanted a bumblebee that was resting or feeding on an allium or something that was really global and round, and that was my initial concept, which I have just sketched down here. So I thought of three things that come to mind when I thought of bumblebees, and a fourth one as well, because as I was sitting out in my garden I was watching my bush that has an abundance of bumblebees, and there was this one huge one which came flying along and it looked so clumsy. It was just dancing around all over the place, so I had to add clumsy down as a fourth keyword for the bumblebee. When I'm doing a little bit of research into my subjects, I also like to write down some facts, so something that I may not have known about the subject and that I want to remember. So when I was researching the bumblebee, a fact which I come across was that once a bee has visited a flower, it leaves a scent mark, and that deters all the other bees away from that flower, and also that bumblebees will visit the same flower multiple times in one day. And that's something that I didn't know, and I jotted that down into my sketchbook because that may help me when it comes to planning my piece, and it certainly did as I developed the ideas through this. So from researching those facts, I managed to discover that I wanted to draw a bumblebee on a large single flower, and that tied in with the fact that they like to visit those types. They like wide open flowers like daisies, again like a buddleja or something like that. They like to visit those types of flowers, so I wanted to really convey that in this drawing. I also put in a little bit of research into the types of flowers and colours that bumblebees liked, and I discovered that they see the colour purple a lot clearer than other colours, so that was my obvious choice for flowers. And immediately when I found out that they preferred purple over any other colour, I immediately was thrown back to my childhood, and at my grandma's house she used to have these massive bushes of lavender, and it just used to be a hive of bumblebees, excuse the pun. And I just remember sitting in the garden just watching all of these bumblebees float around on these really tiny stems of lavender. So you had these really massive bumblebees on these really tiny stems, and that immediately sparked my inspiration, and it's something that I wanted to convey in this drawing. So I sketched down a massive bumblebee on this tiny little stick of lavender as a concept sketch. I then did a bit of research into whether bumblebees like these types of flowers, and I discovered that they do like tubular flowers like foxgloves or honeysuckle or snapdragons. So I then did a little bit more research, and I found a few images of bumblebees on tubular flowers. Again, I found a buddleja which was purple, which tied into the fact that bumblebees really like purple flowers. So through this research, everything was sort of coming together, and I had a clearer idea of what I wanted to portray for my drawing. I also went through and sketched a big daisy because I just wanted to see if I liked that type of flower, and it turned out that I didn't really like that. It just seemed a little bit too big and a little bit too open for the bumblebee. I really wanted to convey the sort of clumsy nature of them just through observing them in my garden, especially those larger bumblebees. They just look really clumsy just floating around. So where am I going with this story and this narrative of the concept of the bee? Well, without doing this process, without jotting down in my sketchbook any of these ideas, I wouldn't have discovered the bee on the lavender idea, and I probably would have just gone with something from Pixabay, and that would have been really disappointing because it wouldn't have evoked any memories within me. Whereas now that I know that I'm going to draw a lavender stalk with a bee on it or something similar, I can pour a whole lot of love and memories into this piece, and it can be something that I can be proud of. Now, before in some of my videos you may have heard me mention that I never really liked to use a sketchbook or develop my ideas when I was in school, and I never really understood the value of it. But from doing this process, I can really understand why they made me do it, because it is really helping me to develop my ideas. It's helping me to come up with greater pieces of art, and it's something that I want to bring a lot more into my videos as well. So if you guys have any suggestions or any comments, or if you want to see more of this, then make sure that you do leave a comment below, because I'm always interested to hear your thoughts and feedback on the videos which I produce for you guys. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. And if you're new around here and you like this video and you want to see more along with art tutorials and live streams, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and tick that bell icon to be notified of all of my future videos. I've left some more just over there which I think you're going to love, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!